Alright, what's up guys? It's Cooper C&T Designs again. So I'm going to try to shoot, I don't know, at least one or two videos tonight. The first one we're going to look at is yet another bill where Democrats are trying very hard to make things harder on you. Let's see. Let me get all this out of the way. So the bill we're looking at right now, excuse me, this is a Senate bill. So this is S591. And I look, this doesn't have a companion bill, but it does dovetail with another House bill that I already covered. And what this does is, and there's, I think, 21 Senate members that are signed on to this so far. And this was put in March 4th of 2021. So a lot of the same usual characters that are always on gun control bills are on this one too. Sidney Blumenthal, Dick Durbin, Chris Murphy, Van Hollen, of course Feinstein's on here. Senator Indian Warren's on here. Edward Merkley, Ron Wyden. I mean, you guys can see the name up here. I just want to kind of drive home what exactly this bill does. So, this is to prohibit firearms dealers from selling a firearm prior to the completion of a background check. So, as it stands now, federally, if you go to buy a gun, they run your background check. If something happens and they can't get their crap straight, because realize this is on them, on the federal government, if they can't get their stuff together within 3 days, well, then that firearms transfer can go ahead and go through. So this bill is very short. This may be cited as the Background Check Completion Act of 2021, and I'm going to use one of my wife's vinyl graphics for this one.
What about me?
And I know it's hard to see, but this is if you don't like guns, don't buy one, basically.
Problem solved.
So yeah, problem solved. So that'll go up on the wall, along with all the plasma cuts. At least it'll be lighter on my wall, because eventually, with all these bills, I'm going to have to reinforce my walls if I keep hanging plasma cuts. So this is going into Section 922, United States, of course, 18 U.S.C., United States Code, Section 22 or 922. So if you look on the right hand side down here, this is what I have highlighted. This is what this bill is going to do. So right now, Section I down here, the system provides a unique identification number, or 3 business days have passed since the background check was started. Then you can go ahead and process that transfer. The FFL can go ahead and transfer that firearm to the unlicensed person. So what this does is this just makes this whole paragraph down here, or these 2 subparagraphs, disappear. So if we just went in and deleted that, this is how that would appear now. And in between B and C, it just says, and the transfers verify the identity of the transferee by examining a valid identification document as defined in Section 1028D of this title. The transferee containing a photograph of the transferee. So, in other words, your state issued ID cards, driver's license, in some places concealed carry permits. This background check now has to be complete no matter how long it takes. So if the FBI's computer system suddenly crashed for, I don't know, a month, you wouldn't be able to do anything as far as a firearms transfer until the state got off their rear ends and decided to get their stuff together. Now understand, just like in a criminal case, it is the burden of the state to prove that you are a prohibited possessor. It isn't your burden of proof to prove that you're not. It's their burden to prove that you are. So if they can't get their crap straight, there is no reason that that transfer should not take place.
Same as jury duty.
And people will bring up Dylan Roof, the guy who shot up the church. I think it was in South Carolina. If the federal government had had their crap together in the first place, his background check would have come back in a couple of minutes, and he would have been proven a prohibited possessor because he had some drug charges. So the government messed things up all the way through that case. So even if you give it 10 days, 7 days, 14 days, this is an infinite amount of time for them to actually do the transfer. It's not going to matter. If the government can't get their crap together, I mean, it's not going to change anything. And if someone really wants to go get a gun to do some really heinous shit, they're going to get that gun. They're just not going to do it through any kind of system with a background check. And you also have to understand the majority of the time, the vast majority of the time, someone comes back with a finding of being a prohibited possessor on a NICS background check. It's a false positive. That's why you don't see people going to jail all the time for lying on 4473s. Because it simply just doesn't happen. But people will come back as prohibited possessors or prohibited purchasers for a great number of reasons. Names that are similar to other names. I had a guy from MFFL tell me the other day, people with certain clearances, certain security clearances, will be delayed for days and days and days, if not months, before they can get their stuff taken care of. The background system is just not what people think it is. And all this is, all these bills are, this bill and the other bills that I've covered on this, that seek to pull on people's heartstrings that, hey, they should have to pass the background check and, it's no harm to wait. Well, there's a saying, and I can't remember who said it, a right delayed is a right denied. I think that came from a Supreme Court decision. And that's what this is. So just be on the lookout for this one again. Again, this is Senate Bill, let me pull back up at the top, 591. And this one has some traction. This will get blended into another bill, if nothing else. Right now, Jared from Guns and Gadgets and a couple other guys have covered some of the stuff going on with the Violence Against Women Act, which I've covered in previous videos. Matter of fact, there's a plasma cut up there having to do with a bunch of the domestic violence stuff. But again, it's more red flag law. It's more taking someone's right because, say, they're under a protective order, or a protective order has been issued against them, I should say. Now, understand, anybody can go in and get a protective order. I could go call the sheriff and say someone's threatened me and get a protective order against them with very little evidence. And that happens all the time in domestic situations, where someone is just trying to be over the top punitive against a spouse or ex-boyfriend or whatever. Sometimes guys with their ex-girlfriends or guys with their ex-wives, they will go through and get orders like this because it makes them look better in court overall. Well, those orders now, underneath some of these new bills, would strip you of your right to own firearms forever. Or you would have to go through thousands and thousands of dollars fighting this in court to get your rights back. Yeah, this stuff is getting crazier and crazier by the minute. So keep an eye out for the Violence Against Women Act. From what Jared covered, I think Crump covered it, and there's a couple other guys that have been really on top of this. And if you guys, I've got to do more with it, but if you guys look back and see the couple of videos I wrote about, or that I put on about writing letters to your Congress people, both state and federal, that's something all of us need to be doing. I still have to go in and type my response letters to two of my senators, because the letters they wrote back to me were very generic, very milk toast. They're basically form letters. And I've got to find a way to word my next letter politely, but still get my point across that they're pretty much full of shit and they just blew me off, is what they did. So, anyway, y'all be cool. I'm going to try to get around, see if I can go ahead and film the next one, and we will see you guys after a while.